This is Charlie Talbot with Talbot Consulting.
Greg Kitson with Mind's Eye Graphics.
Pierre with Blue Moon.
This is Marcia Derryberry with Impressions Magazine.
And you're listening to the Two Regular Guys.
Two Regular Guys.
Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted
by Terry Combs
and Aaron Montgomery.
It's the first and most listened to favorite weekly internet radio show in the industry. Take a listen.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome into the Two Regular Guys podcast here today. It is Friday, June 14th, and my name is Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me over at aaronmontgomery.info. As you can see, it is the one regular guy today. Terry is right to this minute doing a DTG seminar in Baltimore for Equipment Zone. So since today is actually a super exciting show for us, we've got Kristine Shreve coming in here shortly to host a wonderful panel discussion about self-promotion and women in the industry here. So we are really excited about this, and I'm actually can't wait to step out of the way and get this thing started here. But before we do that, I want to make sure that I cover a quick news item and then get to our sponsor here. So the one news item that came across my desk that I thought was worth sharing here today is Alpha Broder has acquired Commonwealth Cotton. So Alpha Broder has announced the acquisition of the New England-based Commonwealth Cotton, the Commonwealth Cotton independent wholesaler who has served the New England region since 1987. I just thought that was interesting. Lots of different moving and shaking happening in our industry all the time here. So good stuff. Always good to keep up. We will have a link for that in the show notes, so you can go read the full article. I believe it came out of Printwear magazine where I saw that come through. So check that out. And as far as that goes, I do want to make sure that I thank our regular listeners here, the regulators, as was coined back when we did this the last time by Kristine Shreve. So appreciate that help with that, Kristine. Before I get to that, though, Eric has posted a link. So Eric Campbell is helping out in the comments here today. So if you're catching this on the podcast version, make sure that you head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Aaron Montgomery, /Two Regular Guys, and check in on all the comments and things that are happening as well. But again, I want to thank our regular listener, the regulators, and any new listeners tuning in today. In fact, got a couple people already checking in this morning. Lisa Shaw, who's been on the show and a regular listener as well, checking in, and Evelyn Warner checking in, says hello, looking forward to your broadcast, as am I. Thank you very much. So if you do have ideas for future shows and want to help us out and keep this thing going, we are in our 7th year here. So head over to the Contact Us page at Two Regular Guys. That's the number 2, regularguys.com. Or you can reach out to us on social media. We're everywhere as Two Regular Guys. And if you are catching the live video version, those of you that are tuning in, we definitely love your comments, your questions, your feedback, your thoughts. We try to get to as much of that as possible. And it's so much fun to just have this be a really great interacting opportunity. So, in fact, we've got more people checking in that I want to say good morning to. Tina says, hi there. Nancy says, hey. And great stuff. And really excited to have everybody joining us here this morning. So this show would not be possible if it wasn't for our sponsors that help us pay for the cost to keep this thing running every week. So without further ado, let's hear from our title sponsor, Embrilliance, and I got to get this flipped over, but here's Embrilliance.
This episode of the Two Regular Guys is brought to you by Bright & Leap, makers of the Reggie Award-winning Embrilliance embroidery software. Embrilliance is different. You don't need hardware dongles or to trade active seats for every user. One license lets you run every computer in your shop at once. Embrilliance runs natively on both Mac and Windows. Your single license lets you install on both platforms. Embrilliance is modular. If you only need customizing with lettering, sizing, and recoloring, you can get just that. Embrilliance's unique stitch processing tools even allow you to resize and improve expanded stitch files from digitizers or stock collections for faster running, lighter embroideries. If you decide you need fully featured digitizing, it's fast and easy to add powerful design creation tools to your system. You can start with any tool and build your ideal kit. All Embrilliance programs run standalone or work together in their unified platform. See the difference for yourself at Embrilliance.com. Two Regular Guys listeners can enter the exclusive code 2RG, that's the number 2RG, at embrilliance.com/store for 10% off your entire purchase.
All right. Well, thank you very much to Embrilliance and Brighton Leap for their support of our program. They are a gold sponsor, but we do have other sponsorship opportunities available if you're interested. So check out the details of that over at tworegularguys.com/sponsorship. And again, make sure you use that code 2RG over at embrilliance.com. That's really super cool that they've given us our own discount code, and we appreciate their support, and we would appreciate your supporting them and showing that you support our show. So thank you very much, guys. All right. Well, hey, we're only 5 minutes in, and we're ready to actually finally get to the meat of our show here. I don't know if we should tell Terry or not. This is good. We would have been rambling on forever by now, but let's dive right in here. Let's get me out of the way and get the real stars of the show here. So I'm going to bring them in one at a time and introduce them to you. So bear with me as we do this. I'm producing and making this all happen at one time. So having a lot of fun here today, but let's start with our first guest. And here she comes. Heather Streible is the co-owner of Replica Screen Printing, which is a woman and family-owned screen printing shop located in Cave City, Kentucky. Heather has been in the printing industry for over 20 years and has been co-owning Replica for the past 5. Welcome in, Heather.
I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get Taniya here. I'm clicking and reading and all sorts of fun stuff. Taniya Ahmed is the key driver of growth for Common Threads, a clothing line design, production, and drop shipping agency. Taniya has also been a key player in helping innovate in the apparel digital printing industry with the newly invented hat printing platen called the Captain. I love it. Taniya, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How are you?
Excellent. All right. And our third guest here. All right. And you guys know Lyndsie already, but Lyndsie Salcido entered the embroidery industry as a digitizer in 2007 and helped fuel the surge in the cottage and children's market, In 2011, she founded the Applique Getaway, an event aimed at hobby embroiderers and small businesses, and one that Terry calls the best name in all getaways. But the event has grown alongside the target audience, adding vendors and classes featuring software, vinyl, digital cutting, sublimation, commercial embroidery, and more, all while maintaining the event's fun and friendly atmosphere. So welcome back to the podcast, Lyndsie.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, and then I need to get our host in here. So this is going to be where it gets a little bit fun because we can only have 4 people on screen at one time. So I'm going to introduce her and then she will make her way in here. So Kristine Shreve is the director of marketing for EnMart, the parent company Ensign Emblem. While at EnMart, she developed and contributes to write the EnMart Threaducate blog at threaducate.com and the Subly Stuff blog at sublystuff.com, as well as maintaining the EnMart Twitter feed, which you can find over at twitter.com/EnMartian, MARTAIN, and Facebook page. Kristine also writes for a number of industry magazines and speaks about social media and the Decorated Apparel Expo, DAX trade shows. So I will bounce out of here and Kristine will be right with you.
All right. Good morning, ladies. I think I'm with you now. Can you see me?
Yes. Yes.
All right. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here. I think this is going to be a great discussion. I'm so excited that you all agreed to talk with me today. And our topic today is self-promotion and women. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, there were 2 reasons. One is it's something that I'm struggling with a little bit. So you guys are my therapy session today a little bit. So thank you for that. And I also think it's an issue for women in general. I think it's an important issue because there have been a lot of studies done that say that, women who self-promote get ahead more, they get higher paychecks, they get noticed more, they're more eligible for promotions, all sorts of things like that. So I think it's an important topic, and I think us discussing it will help other women as well. So first thing I want to ask you, what were you guys told about self-promotion when you were growing up? Or what were you told about how nice girls behave, I guess is the phrase I want to use? Or what kind of feedback have you gotten when you tried to promote yourself? What has been your experience with that? Anybody? You're all just kind of looking at me, which I know it's hard to get started. So let's put it this way. I know when I was young, one of the things that I was told was that if you talked about your accomplishments, you were bragging.
Mhm.
So you didn't do that. You know, nice girls didn't brag. And also I was told, and yes, I realize this dates me a bit, but boys won't like you if you talk about your accomplishments.
Mhm.
So, I mean, is this a cultural thing that kind of keeps women from promoting themselves? Is that a message that we're getting, do you think?
I feel like oh, you go.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So to start with the first question, I was born in 87, so I'm 80s, 90s. My whole life, my parents, my family, they're all entrepreneurs. So self-promoting was something that we had to do. You know, you had to be ready. You had to be prepared. Do your research. And never, it's not shame. Be resilient, you know, aggressive and bold. That's because of my background, you know, and my parents came from another country, and that's how you make it, you know, fake it till you make it. And that's, and learn as you go. Google and YouTube has been my best friend as to how to self-promote. Maybe let other people do it for you. You know, you do all, we call, at our company, we call, when we do good things, we call them as like the Disneyland experience. And when someone gets that Disneyland experience, they're self-promoting for us. You know, we're laying the grounds now and doing the hard work. But before growing up, I don't think it was as acceptable, I would say. And now I feel like with social media and Instagram and Facebook, all these things are making it just fine. It's totally okay to brag about yourself. And the way I'm sorry, I don't want to take up the whole time, but I feel like I got pretty far and did really well. My resume is pretty badass, and I moved up a good corporate ladder until I came to Common Thread and the Captain, which is my other half business. But I left a good corporate position by bragging. I had to send my emails to distributors every Monday to tell them of my achievements. I don't care. I worked in a male-dominated industry. I'm wearing neon, you know, stand out. You know, be polite, respectful, have the good manners, but have a mouth and laugh and joke and be loud. I have no shame. I have no shame about it.
All right.
That helps answer how I grew up and how that helps in any way.
Yeah, I think that's great feedback. Heather, did you want to say something too?
Well, I mean, I think just growing up, I was always told, you know, that you are your brand, that people are going to judge you within the first few seconds. So you have that short amount of time to really promote yourself and have confidence. And, you know, I think people judge you so quickly back when I was growing up and now, but I didn't grow up, you know, I'm 40. So there was not much internet around when I was growing up. So.
Yeah.
I feel you on that one.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Kristine.
Go ahead, Lyndsie. That's fine.
I'm also 40, but I grew up raised in part by my grandparents. So my mentality is that of someone who's a generation ahead of me. So not only was I raised by my grandparents, I was raised also, they were very traditional Hispanic household. And that's a different culture as far as the way that women and men are viewed and valued and treated. There's this whole like machismo thing. So I did watch my grandma serve my grandpa his meal every day like a waitress. I mean, it was an act of love. But so self-promotion is something that I wasn't taught about growing up. In fact, I was taught that it was like attention-seeking behavior.
There you go.
And to me, I mean, I can see, and I don't know if this is just a bias, a cultural bias, or, you know, something that I struggle with, but sometimes I do see like repetitive advertisements or, you know, like, okay, get off of it already. You know, I've seen enough. So that's where sometimes I do struggle to self-promote. I want to self-promote. I want to make sure that people are aware of my business, but I don't want to be like in their faces and down their throats about it because I don't want to be perceived as someone who's seeking attention. I want attention for my business, not for myself. So there can be like a fine line there. And I think it is something culturally different that I might have grown up with, even though I'm 40, so I'm not from the 50s generation, but my grandparents, you know, they're World War II vet and, you know, 1950s traditional housewife. So that's the kind of thing that I grew up watching. So that's somewhere where, I do struggle.
Well, I think because I was laughing because the comments were coming through and everybody was saying how old they were. So just for the record, I'm 50. So there you go. But so I didn't grow up with the internet and stuff. I had to learn that later on.
Wait,
but
you guys, I did not. Okay, I'm 32, so I still feel somewhat of like I came into an awkward age of the internet, and
right.
I'm with you. And I'm like I grew up. My grandparents raised me too, so I understand.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm an old soul, but I'm with you guys. Okay.
All right. Well, I just thought it was funny because I was watching the comments and everybody's going, "I'm 63. I'm this." I'm like, okay.
40.
Yeah. But well, I think that's 51 probably going on 60. I love this. This is great. So I think one of the things that I really want to discuss, because I did a lot of reading before I started before this, because I wanted to be prepared. And one of the things that was touched on a lot is that culturally, women get a lot of blowback when they promote, even from other women, which I thought was really interesting. And I wondered, is that something, I mean, you all are business owners, you know, I know that I've run into it before, and I'm ashamed to say I've probably done it a few times before where I've seen somebody talking about something and gone, oh, geez, really? You know, so is that anything that you guys have ever experienced, or is it something, you know, if you want to join my side of the tracks, is it something that you've ever done? Well, I think it's a good question because one of the goals of what we're doing here is trying to help support women and help them get ahead in the industry. And, you know, it's easy to say that we're going to do that, but sometimes your brain gets you. So, you know, that's the question. I think what culturally have you guys experienced? Have most people been okay with you promoting yourselves, or have you had people go, gee, you really shouldn't do that? Or what's been your experience? Let's just start there. And
I can answer that. And I'm not sure if this is like a gender difference or just something that's common in our industry. So my primary business is as a digitizer.
Right.
And I guess in the segment of the market I work in, it's very female dominant.
Right.
But digitizing in itself, I think, is more, I mean, it is something that's kind of, I don't know, maybe men are more drawn to it because it's so technical.
Okay.
But when I tend to talk about the technical aspect of digitizing with women, I have been told like I'm a mean girl because I have very high standards for our segment of the industry as crafters. And, you know, the home market and the children's market, I feel like we should hold ourselves to the same standards as the rest of the industry. And that, you know, also falls into, you know, the quality of the designs that we're putting out, the quality of the work that our customers are putting out. So when I talk about that with men, everybody's like, yeah, right on, you know, it's really important and this, that, and the other. But when I talk about it with women, they feel shamed. Like I'm saying that I'm superior to them in my skills, which is totally not true. I mean, we all start somewhere, and just because I'm confident in my skills, I am still learning. I think with digitizing, you always learn because it's such an evolving, there are just so many aspects and facets to it. But it's a difficult discussion to have with women, with most women. I've had some great conversations, but it's just different. I don't know if it's the way that they perceive, if I'm talking about, you know, the high standards that we should hold ourselves to, that they feel that I'm shaming them, which makes me feel terrible because that's not how it is. But I don't know, that's something that I've experienced, and it's not necessarily self-promotion, but just being able to talk about something that's important in our industry with men versus women. I'm not sure if it's cultural that we generally tend to feel attacked more easily.
Oh, that's possible, but I think that's a good point in that, you know, the way that you described that you're talking about it, you came across as more like we should do this and we should have high standards and we should, and maybe, I don't want to use the word aggressive because I think there's a lot, that's kind of a loaded word, but maybe a little more that way. And I think a lot of people are more uncomfortable with that kind of behavior when it comes for women. when it comes to women.
Right.
So, that's kind of, I think that's interesting. I like that a lot. I think that's
and I'm not an aggressive person at all. I'm super like shy and non-confrontational. It's taken quite a bit for me to come on this podcast.
Well, you're doing beautifully, so thank you.
In general. So yeah, but it's something I'm passionate about, and something that I feel strongly about, just for the betterment of the industry as a whole, that women and crafters, we should hold ourselves to the same standards, high standards as everyone else in the industry. And sometimes that hasn't been well received when I say it.
I agree with that. And Heather, I wanted to ask you, because I know you work in more a male dominated field, screen printing is. Have you encountered any of that, or are people pretty cool with you?
Well, I mean, my issue is I've not really met any other women screen printers. I mean, I was kind of thrown in the screen printing business. Yes, because my background was litho flexo printing, and I just happened to start working for a screen printing shop and ended up buying it. So that one of my goals were, when we took over the business, that I wanted to be more in the field and, meet people. And so, but everybody that I've really met has all been males, and they have, I have to say, they've took me on and have helped and mentored me, and they have been a really good allies for me. And I wish I could do that for other women screen printers, but I really haven't had that interaction yet. So, but the guys have really been great in helping me grow my business and learn the industry.
Okay, well, that's good news. I like that. That's really good to hear. And I think there may be some things coming up where you might be able to help some other female screen printers, but I can't really talk about it yet.
Okay.
There's possibilities. Tanya, what about you?
Oh man, so much to say. Okay. So I've always worked in male dominated industries. I feel like I worked in the beer business in the past. So I managed 3 distributor houses for really cool import brands in Southern California. And then coming into this world, it didn't dawn on me that I was in a male dominated industry until I walked into the trade show. Yeah. And I'm usually with my partner, so I feel there's a level of comfort, right? But this past couple trade shows, I went in alone, and I was kind of freaking out inside, thinking, oh my God, like I forgot like this feeling. And I feel like I have to wear my armor and get ready to kind of put up this front sometimes. And I have confidence, but I like, sometimes you got to talk yourself, give yourself a pep talk. And I remember the last trade show I walked into, I had to self-promote, right? So that's where I'm inside worried, called a friend, standing outside the front doors, had her give me a pep talk and walk right in, because I had to make pitches and approaches to several men. They were all salesmen, all the upper level executives, salesmen, everybody, technicians, they're all men. And I think I was trained, and somehow along like the 8 years of being in a male dominated industry, I've had to always mentally prepare myself to go right in and kick ass, and always have to do the same pep talk every single time. I think that's cool that we're a very few crowd of women that are in this industry. But for me to succeed, there have been multiple things that, be a lady, have respect for yourself, and then add if this is right, but the French thing of the je ne sais quoi, add the extra oomph. But I had to play the manly part for me to gain distribution for our hat plan, or even influencers or people that we have to work with. I kind of get in their shoes and I'm like, well, let's get a beer. Guess what, guys? I don't really drink beer, but or to golf, you guys, and golf, and I suck. I've had to pretend to do a lot of things, and I mean respectfully, sports and crap I didn't care about, because I had to get in their shoes, and personally, I don't think it's that bad. I think that I gained a couple cool new skills, and I can say I can golf now, and I drink certain beers, But I've also learned to succeed, I guess, or to self promote, or have breaking through with that male dominated industry. Back at what you were saying was to not always be a yes woman.
There you go.
I never want to be the yes, sure, yeah, absolutely. I do want to feel like they take me seriously, and I challenge them back by not always saying the yes, and because I don't want to fold all the time, or and I don't know if that goes back to like the old. I don't know if this is gonna make any sense, but like old mentality, like older days, like back in the day when it was always like, I don't even know. I'm not going to even get into that point, but I feel like if I say yes, I'm standing my stance,
Right.
But I think I hope does that answer anything at all?
Yeah, I think you made some good points there. And one of the things you said that I want to circle back to a little bit is the whole be a lady thing. Because I don't know when be a lady meant be quiet. I don't know when that really happened. And it's something that I really think does women a disservice, particularly in business, because you can be what I would think of as a lady, which is, polite and classy and all that kind of stuff, and still speak up for yourself and still talk about yourself.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what I meant.
Yeah. So I want to throw that out there a little bit. The whole idea of, should we even be concentrating on being a lady? Should we concentrate on being a powerful woman instead? I mean, is calling it something different? Does that make a difference in how we perceive it? I don't know. Am I being like really, I feel like I'm being really vague, but I know where I'm trying to go. I guess that's the question though, is if we reframe it, if we put different words on it, does that make, if we don't say we want to be ladies, maybe we just want to be women,
maybe we just want to be taken seriously.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah. I want to be a kick-ass woman in our industry, I mean, it's all about, yeah.
What I meant was, right, like be a strong, confident, powerful woman, but I'm talking about being respectful and I guess, like with your approach, I think being from like a beverage industry and then coming into this apparel industry, I feel like people got ahead in a lot of awkward, uncomfortable ways. So I'm talking like be a classy woman, be strong-willed, outspoken, determined, and then learn, go in and then have that extra je ne sais quoi, have the friendly attitude, but firm boldness.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah. I just meant like that in that way. Yeah.
Well, and I think that totally makes sense. And that's really one of the things that I keep coming back to a little bit is I read this when I was doing research for this podcast. I read this article that was about, it was a HuffPost article, and it was about ways that women can self-promote without self-promoting. And basically the whole gist of the article was just be nice and be collaborative and promote other people, and that'll help promote you. And I got done with the article and I really wanted to punch somebody because I was just like, basically what you're saying is be a nice little girl and work behind the scenes and things will happen for you. And it was like, it just, and that's the message I think that goes out there to women a lot.
We shouldn't have to change our behavior, our approach just because we're women.
Right.
I mean, we should be able to promote ourselves and our businesses the same way that our male counterparts do, and it shouldn't be perceived differently. Thankfully, I don't think I've really run into much of that, but just knowing that it's out there really gives us a reason to stand together and work alongside each other and promote each other and not, push back even more than what we might be getting from other parts of the industry.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. And there was a comment that just came up where a lady said, I never thought about being a lady. I'm just me. Yeah. And I'm a strong business owner and, there we go. I never thought of that being a lady thing. I am just Evie, business owner, strong and opinionated and ready to do my thing. And I'm like, that's what we all should be. But I think we get caught a lot in that whole well, we have to be nice, or we have to be, ladies, or we have to be, instead of just being who we are and doing the work we do and being proud of it.
Right.
So, I'm holding the flag now for all the women, but I feel like that's important. And I also have a question, because this is something that I've noticed with myself. And I think this is something you might be able to speak to, Heather, because I know you've made quite a physical transformation. And I did too, not as extreme as yours, but I've lost about, I don't know, probably 40 pounds in the last couple of years. And I noticed when I got smaller, I was more willing to put myself forward a little bit. And I wondered if that was something that's happened to you as well.
Totally. I said it kind of laughs because when I worked at Replica for 6 years before we bought it, and I was a completely different person. And I look back and I'm thinking, I've lost 100 pounds. And as I lost the weight, my hair got shorter and shorter and shorter. And then I cut it all off and started mohawk. And then you never know what color it's going to be now. But it's almost like, I think you somebody said, it's my armor, because I feel more confident about myself, but I think it's because of the experiences I've gone through now. And so, yes, I still have a hard time, walking into a room and just going up to strangers. But at least I feel like a little bit more badass, that I don't feel like I'm going to be remembered. I mean, you look at me, we were at a convention, and, people that I had done business with on the far side of, the U.S. was coming up to me and they're like, oh, hey, you're Heather, right? And so it's kind of helped me break into, being more comfortable to go up to more people, because people are always staring at me. I mean, always now. And, but it has changed, I think it has a lot to do with how you perceive yourself as other people will perceive you. And
Sure.
You just kind of have to finally learn to embrace yourself and love yourself and put yourself out there.
I think that's definitely true. I just think it's interesting that guys don't seem to have that problem as much.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you'll see like the 300-pound guy with the big Hawaiian shirt with the gaps in the buttons and the hairy chest. And I mean, I know I'm terribly stereotyping, but you see those guys and they'll walk up to some woman and think they're just, like God's gift to, and I don't know why, but women tend to be more, I don't want to say women tend to be more appearance oriented, but I think we're trained a little bit more to be that way, that we feel like, go ahead, Heather.
Yeah. I mean, that's what society has pushed us, that you have to look the certain way and you have to act the certain way. And I really think now is the era of the woman, and we all have to empower each other and help each other grow and push each other, because instead of trying to break each other down, we need to build each other up. So,
well, let's talk about that too, because I think that's an interesting point. Women as a gender, let's say, tend to be, I don't know what the word is, I don't know if competitive is the word that I want, competitive with each other, or maybe less accepting of each other sometimes. And I'm wondering again if that's a cultural thing. And is that something that you've experienced? I know I have run into women. I've had a couple female bosses in the past that were just really not comfortable with me being good at what I did because they thought it threatened them. And male bosses, I haven't had that same experience. So I'm just wondering, is that something that any of you have encountered, or do you think that's something that happens where women tend to, instead of supporting each other, kind of cut each other down a little bit? So I saw Tanya nod there.
Oh, I experienced this. My first cool corporate job in fashion was like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And it was mostly women in the office. It was a cool corporate job in LA, my first break into fashion. And I thought, oh man, this is my dream job. And I was almost in HR every week because there was another woman that was either upset or jealous, or they were just not helping me through. And they were calling me about, Tanya's wearing a hat today, or she came in with heels that were too low, or you're supposed to, just the way I parked. And I was thinking, man, like, what's going on? Like, it became a problem. And I feel like, yeah, I think that was 10 years ago that was a problem. But as these years have been going, where it is the year of the woman or the century for the women, and we're breaking through ceilings and making big impacts in all industries, all male dominated industries, I think we're gaining respect from men and women. And like now it's out there on social media. Everybody should be empowering and encouraging women, and the Women's March, like all these cool things that we're doing for each other. I will tell you, you guys, when I came into Common Thread and you know, Leo and the whole team were signing on skaters and surfers and influencers and doing cool merch for them, I was busy going after women. And my speech was, you know, I want to get more women apparel, cool dropship apparel made for you. You know, you're an influencer. Let's start making you money. And when I would get on the phone with them, I would tell them hands off the bat, oh my God, this is so cool. You're the first woman I'm launching. Like they would feel special and be a part of it, like I would with kicking off another woman and sharing their successes. Like I'm all about women, and I'm about hell. Like I'm with you guys. You guys want to have like a cool girl tribe? I'm in it. But I feel like when I first started 10 years ago, I was always feel like I was getting picked on and getting in trouble. But now everyone's been pretty helpful. And you're right, like sharing on Instagram, people want to help each other out. I'm doing what's called Woman Crush Wednesdays, where I'm women businesses or other women brands that we work with. So we're cross promoting.
Oh, that's very cool. I like it.
Now they're sharing it on Wednesdays. And guess what? Like we get new clientele and new people once they share it, because it's their crowd of folks looking in onto what we do, you know, that channel, that cross marketing.
Right. Well, Lyndsie, I want to ask you, because you work, as you said, mostly in a female dominated industry. And so I'd like to put that question to you. I mean, have you noticed that women are mostly collaborative, or have you encountered people that are a little more hostile, or
both?
Both.
Yes,
Okay,
definitely both. Because I've met some great friends who do the same thing that I do, who are technically supposed to be my competition. But I don't view them as my competition. I view them as my colleagues, and we experience a lot of the same challenges and a lot of the same successes, and we have a lot that we can relate to each other, and it's nice to have someone who knows what we deal with day in and day out and that we can relate to. So it's great to know there are women out there who, you know, who are totally open to these kind of relationships, and then there's those who seem to have like a chip on their shoulder, who perceive everything as an attack, and I don't know if it's just a difference in a big mind with big ideas or a small mind who's looking for, you know, small things to nitpick over. So I mean, both, but you know, I pick my tribe, and there's a lot of really great, strong women supporting each other. The one thing that is difficult when working in a heavily female industry, well, I guess the industry as a whole is not, but my element of the industry is I don't understand why women still tend to be so gossipy. Like, I don't want to talk about other women. Like, I have stuff to do. I have a business to run. Let's be productive. Let's get stuff done and not talk about so-and-so and what they're doing, or try and create drama that's just a distraction from.
I can't believe you said that, because in this industry, and this, like, I've only noticed men being the king of gossip.
Oh, wow. No.
And I was stunned, because I'm like, no drama for me.
Yes, no,
but I'm stunned. Oh my God, girl, we got to get you over here and get like a cooler crowd, because I feel like men are the babies of all, and they're the talkers of all. And I'm in both industries, I'm just noticing that they're just the lonely ones that have nothing better to do.
See, I work, so I have two parts of my job. You know, as a digitizer, almost all of my clients are female, and almost everybody I work with is female. And then on the special event side, I work with two men who also lead the show with me, my husband, and then one of our friends. And it's interesting because I hate to do this, but sometimes when the women are getting gossipy, or when things are getting like, when it's getting to be a distraction from what we're trying to accomplish, I've had to call them in and be like, can you guys help me put a stop to this? Because I don't know if they're taken more seriously. We had a situation a couple of years ago with someone that was, I mean, we had a couple of situations with someone that was related to our show, just wasting a lot of time spreading rumors or saying negative things. And, I called in one of the guys and I was like, can you just help me put a stop to this so that we can get back on track and do what we need to do? And it was perceived as an attack. So it's, sometimes it's really difficult. But I don't know if that's a gender thing, a men and women thing, or if it's just, some people are more difficult.
Well, we just had an interesting comment I wanted to read from Nancy Hamblin. Men have been more encouraging to me in general. Women have been the ones to suggest that I slightly undervalue my product, whereas men have been more likely to encourage me to be brave and charge what I'm worth. So I think that's interesting. But one of the things that you guys have been talking about that just occurred to me, and I want to ask because I think it's interesting. Lyndsie, you work with your husband. Tanya, you said you work with your partner. Heather, I don't know if you work with your partner or not, but does that make a difference in your confidence level or in your ability if you know you've got a person behind you that supports you absolutely? I mean, I would assume, but I just would like a little discussion on that because I think it's interesting.
Well, I'm in a different situation than probably most people because I co-own the business with my mother. So we're a woman-owned business, which we love to support.
Very cool.
But we're also a family-owned business. So my father works for us and my brother-in-law works for us. So we only have one other employee, which is a female, and she's a total badass too, that works for us. And, so for me, always knowing that I've got my mom or my dad to back me. And when I get down, and think I can't do something, even with this podcast, I'm like, this is totally out of my comfort zone. And, they're like, you'll be fine. Do it,
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I have the fallback of family on top of, just a great support system.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been doing great on the podcast, Heather.
Well, thank you.
You should definitely do more. So Lyndsie, I just saw a comment from your husband where he said, I think it's your husband who said women are badass.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah, no, I have a support system. It's very empowering to know that if I need his help, that he's there. And that even if I don't, he's there.
Definitely. Definitely. So I think that, Tanya, you have anything that you want to say about that, or?
I think that Leo and I bring out the best in each other. I feel like he helps me channel my inner determination, and I help him give direction. Our business for sure has doubled, and we've been doing really well, but it's because we're two strong, hardworking people who know how to have a good time and network with the right folks. And we definitely help each other. And I can tell you guys, 98% of our relationship and 98% of the time we talk 24/7. It's business. All we can do is talk about business. And I'm like, I think we need to go to Disneyland. I think we need to do some things because all we love to do from morning till night is new ideas, ways we can get better, how we can help each other. And at the end of the day, we know the goal. The goal is to live a good, happy life and work hard and make impactful decisions and things to help others around us. Do good things and do good things for other people. But yeah, we push each other. And definitely there's been a lot of tears and fights along the way, but it's only to help make a difference, And I feel like with t-shirts, you can do that. It sounds so silly, but you're working out, you're helping others in some way.
Well, I think let's segue, since you gave me a nice segue there. How do we help others? So we're here. I think this is one of the ways we do that is we have discussions about what is happening in the industry and what's happening with women and all that. But what can we do? I like the Tanya, you were talking a little bit ago about the Women Crush Wednesday thing that you were doing on Instagram, and I love that idea, and I think we should take that over to Facebook too and just promote each other. I think that's a wonderful idea. But I'm just wondering, how can we just as individuals do things to help other women feel comfortable with promoting? So I'm just throwing that out there, and I realize it's very open-ended. So if we all need to think for a minute, that's fine. But
the first thing that, like, after the Women Crush Wednesday, what day is it? It's Friday. Okay. So after Women Crush Wednesday, we ran into a business like about a month ago. She takes shirts and upcycles them and makes them into really cool, different cut dresses. And, you know, I met her and I thought, cool, like, let's donate all of our, you know, trust prints and all the cool stuff that we damage. You know, there's damages in our industry all the time. Sure. And we started, you know, working with her collaboratively in a way where it's, I don't know, I want to say charitable, but it helps her upsell apparel. And now we, you know, she's a woman-owned business, 100%. And I figured, you know, that'd be a good way to collaborate. I just feel like they're out there. We just need to find ways to help each other.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I know too, Lyndsie, you run obviously the Applique Getaway. So that's a trade show for all intents and purposes. So are there more things we can do with the trade shows too, do you think? Or is that something that you try to do with your show?
Well, our show is heavily female. I mean, we're like 95% women attended. The men are usually the husbands that come along to hold the shopping bags or just to see what it's all about too. Because maybe, you know, the wife or the female works in the industry and the man may not. He might, you know, just have a 9-to-5 or whatever. So it's a great way for them to see what we do. But yeah, with trade shows, just show up, go to trade shows, engage with trade shows. If you have a woman-owned business and you're a business to business, sign up to be a vendor or an exhibitor at a trade show, and we just have to show up and show that we're part of the industry. We're a huge driving force. We have money to spend. We have ideas to share. We have things to do. We're here, and we don't need to be quiet about it. You know.
Right.
Is there a group right now in our industry for women just to meet up at shows?
There are, I know SGIA, which is the Specialty Graphics Imaging Association, I believe. I may have gotten that wrong. They have a Women in Print group that they just started up. Not other than that, I don't really, that's kind of one of the reasons that I also wanted to have this discussion today is that, you know, I think, okay, let me rephrase because my brain just misfired for a minute, but I'll get back. One of the things that we've discussed in previous talks was having more women out there as speakers and instructors and things like that. And I think that's very important too, because if women see other women who are out there standing in front of the group, then I think that's a positive thing. So that's also something that we're working on, is getting more women to talk about what they do and share their knowledge. So like, I know, okay, I'm coming around to this. I lost my thread for a minute, but I'll get it back. I know like at Lyndsie's show, most of your instructors are women, correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And most of our attendees are women. And I think it's encouraging and inspirational for our attendees to come in and learn from other women. And I also like to view it as, you know, if you're getting into something and you have a friend that's already there and already knows the ropes, if that person can kind of show you, you know, help you out and make your way into whatever you're trying to get into. So that's kind of how we like to view our instructors. They're relatable. Our attendees can look up to them. These are women who have success in their business, and they're also, you know, it's easy to develop that friendly bond between the two. So our instructors are like, I mean, we have industry experts, and I also like to look at them as like peer experts. These are people who have already been there, and they're here to show you how to get there or inspire you to find your own way.
And I also think the DAC show, somebody just mentioned the DAC show, which is another trade show in the garment decoration industry. I think I did a study a while ago where I was looking at, like, of all the shows, how many instructors are women, and the numbers were pretty small for most of them. The shows, it tended to depend a lot on whether or not the industry that was being served was more heavily women. So like a show like Lyndsie's will have more female instructors because a lot of the people that attend are women. whereas a show like ISS or NBM or the DAC show might have a smaller portion of women because their instructor base is or their attendee base rather is mixed. But part of the question I wanted to ask there, and it's the question I want to ask you too while we're talking about self-promotion, do you think some of that is because women don't take the initiative to speak or to offer to be instructors?
I think, and this is what I've experienced, because I'm a digitizer and I have, I sell stock designs. So I'm in competition with other people who sell stock designs. And I instruct at my own event and I teach people digitizing. And people are usually like blown away. Like, what are you doing? You're giving away the farm. You're teaching people how to
do what you do.
Yes. And so I think and I don't have a competitive mindset. So I think if women step away from that competitive mindset, that they will be more open to sharing and to helping other women achieve what they want to achieve. And, our industry, I guess, it's unlimited, but it's limited because it's not for everyone. So by us sharing what we're doing, we're giving them a glimpse into what we do and what we're all about. And, they're going to take their own direction. Either they're going to run for the hills and be like, yeah, no, thanks. Or, they're going to find their own way in. Either way, we have the option to shut them out, make them feel excluded, or help them along their journey. So I would rather take the second option, and I would rather help and encourage other women.
I like that. Definitely. Well, I just saw a comment flash up, and I'm hoping maybe Erin will put it back up for me about getting together. How do we get meetups going at the trade shows? And I think that's kind of the last point that I wanted to cover here. So yeah, Tina Turner Duncan said, let's make it a priority to have meetups at the trade shows. The question is how to get that message out to the masses. But I like that idea. And I think that's really the last question I had, and we're getting close to the end here. So I'm going to throw that out there to you. How do we work together to promote each other? I like the Women Crush Wednesday thing. I think that's a great idea. But how do we do that? What do we need to do as, I'm going to call you guys industry leaders because we're here in this podcast talking about this and trying to help other people. So how do we build on what we've started here? What do we do? How do we do it? And there you go. So figure it all out for me, guys.
Maybe we could do something where Two Dudes seems to be an impactful apparel podcast. Maybe on their Instagram or Facebook, we did a highlight feature once a week or once a month on a women-owned or women-leader business in the industry. And then we share it, we tell people about it, and then we're introduced to new people across the country, right? We're all in different states.
Sure.
And then two dudes or whoever it is can start a group, and we can meet, at all the trade shows for even the hour before or even the happy hour after. They're always at the conventions. There's a hotel right there.
Yeah.
It's just, I can't rely on ISS or whoever it is or SGIA that has what is it called? Women in Print.
Women in Print.
I think that's their group, but if we made a general one overall, and it's easy, we can do this.
We can do it.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, I think it's I think there's a lot of things. I know I was just thinking, I write for a lot of, I write a lot for the industry, and I could be more aware of focusing on women businesses when I'm writing articles and citing women as experts and stuff like that. So, but I like this whole idea of the trade show meetup thing. And I like the whole idea of, doing some hashtag things on Instagram or on Facebook or whatever, where we spotlight women. Yeah. And the other thing too, is just promoting each other more, liking people's posts when they tout an accomplishment that they did and all that kind of stuff.
This sounds so silly. I'm so sorry. But there's those health challenges groups. I had signed up for Optivia one time, and it was so good. And they there's those cool forums on Facebook that'll say thanks for joining, and everybody sharing recipes.
Right.
I don't know if there's one, but we should. Kristine or Heather, whoever, we should just start one on there, invite all the women. I'm generally have only been less than a year in, and you guys probably have more connections than I do, but we could add all the women on there. And if we have silly questions or any ideas, and we turn to that forum And it's
I like
Facebook,
that.
right? Like that's an easy tool.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could set up a Facebook group basically.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's just
heck, I'll
women
do
in
it.
the industry. Yeah, women in the industry. Because there's so much, I would much rather, there's all the times that I'm needing digitizing or I'm needing products and I don't have those connections. And I would much rather, I mean, nothing against helping out the guys, but I would much rather help another woman business than, and the same goes, it would be a great if we had a group that, because there's so many great, like I know in screen printing, there's all kinds of great screen printing groups that have tons and tons of people, but there's not one for women just in the apparel industry at all that I have seen and become a part of.
Well,
we're not trying to segregate ourselves at all, but
yeah, no.
I feel like there's a level of comfort too. And I will tell you, I hear about this all the time. All the guys in the warehouse, everybody's always saying there's cool forums and all these things. And I'm like, not willing to jump on there, but I think that, I'd feel more comfortable asking. No one's judging. They're only helping.
Right. Well, heck, I can make that happen. So I'll set it up and
we'll help you moderate it. Yeah.
Hey, that's great. I'd love it. I'll figure it out and I'll let y'all know. But I think we should definitely do that. I definitely think that's a good idea. And I don't know, we're getting down here toward the end a little bit, and Erin will probably be back in a few minutes. So are there any last thoughts you'd like to share with us before we say we have you go through where we can find you all? But anything you want to throw out there as a last thought?
Yeah, I just had a thought right now. There are a million ways that we can support each other as women. There's so many ways. And I think if we just strip away maybe the natural sense of competitiveness, or if there's, a little bit of gossip or whatever it is that some of the challenges that we deal with when groups are heavily female, if we strip that away, I think it'll come naturally. The ideas and the ways that we can connect and support each other, Facebook groups, in-person meetings, all those will come naturally, because there's just so many ways that we can support each other and so many reasons to, and the only reason not to would be pettiness. So we just need to get past that and support each other. Just do it. I mean, just being supportive and all these ideas and ways to promote each other, I think will come naturally after that.
Right. Okay. So Erin just gave me the high sign that, I got to start wrapping this up now. So Lyndsie, tell us where people can find you.
You can find my design work at lennypenny.com. It's LYNNIEPINNIE. Everything I make is very cute, but please take me seriously. And then our show is appliquegetaway.com. And we get together annually in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're heavily female and tons of fun.
Cool. Taniya, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find us on 2 platforms. So Instagram, of course, and then Common Thread, which you'll see the big circle. K as in common, right? KOMMON, Common Thread for Instagram. And then you'll find us with our hat printing plan on there for the Captain Plan. So find me on Instagram.
Find you on Instagram. Good to know. And Heather, where can people find you?
We're on with Facebook, Instagram under Replica Screen Printing. So REPLICA Screen Printing. And
cool.
All right. Well, thank you all.
Already, Heather.
All right. Go Taniya. Yeah, we definitely got to connect because you guys are going to be my core group for the new Women in the Industry group. Well, thank you, ladies. I really, really appreciate this. I think it was a great discussion. Heather, you were awesome on your first podcast.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. And we'll see if Erin's going to pop back in here or what he's going to do. This is the awkward part where we all sit here and wait and see what Erin's going to do. So we may have to chat for a minute. Oh, I don't know. Okay.
All right. I'm back.
I'm
back.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, I made it back.
Yay.
Yay. Awesome. So, Kristine, thank you so much. What a wonderful discussion. And, you got a rock star group there. So we can't wait to be part of making this happen.
All right. Terrific.
Okay, Kristine, thank you so much. We will talk to you in September. We're doing this again in September, right?
On September the 13th, which is a Friday.
Yep. And it's also my birthday. So it's a birthday gift for me.
Happy birthday to you. You don't have to do a podcast.
No, this is awesome. Great. Thanks, Kristine. We'll talk to you soon.
Sure. All right.
Oh man, wow, what a wonderful discussion. Notebook is full, all sorts of great comments going on. The regulators showed up today as well. Man, I think we've got an opportunity to really build a cool community here. And anything that the two regular guys can do to support that, we are all about that community building across the board, but especially in a situation like this where we need to have these discussions, and we love being a part of that, and are just honored to be able to bring in these wonderful people to have these discussions. So make sure that you guys check out all four of these wonderful, wonderful women. Check them out, follow them, support them, share their stuff, be part of their communities, do all those things. As you can tell, I'm just stoked and excited here. Through even my technical challenges, I actually had to restart my computer during the middle of that whole thing. Lots of fun, huh? Awesome. Okay, guys. Well, a couple things to wrap up here, and then we will get out of here. I am traveling up to Indianapolis myself, so Small Business Saturdays will be a little impromptu tomorrow. But if you want to check that out, you can go over to my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, facebook.com/aaronmontgomery.info. I learned about self-promoting today, so there's my self-promotion, and wonderful stuff there. Next week, we've got Kelly DeFries, who is the Crystal Ninja, and a wonderful, wonderful person that I had an opportunity to meet at DAX Chicago. And she's going to talk to us about the business of bling next week. So really excited about that. I do want to make sure that, again, thank all of our guests, wonderful young ladies that I can't wait to go connect with what they've got going on and just be a part of that. So thank them very much, to Lyndsie, Taniya, Heather, and Kristine. And also want to thank Eric Campbell. He has been working the comments there and helps us keep the show going, the producer. And even though Terry didn't do anything, I guess we'll thank him for, he brought Tanya to the table. So wonderful stuff there. We'll look forward to having Terry back with us again next week. And until then, I am Aaron Montgomery, holding down the fort here, and we are the two regular guys.